welcome back to Nurse Nikki's Coconut Cakes YouTube channel. I have my hubby Holly here with me today, and we have something great to tell you guys. So we decided that every Friday you guys will be able to get content from us, healthcare, nursing related. So every Friday, tune in. We will be dropping a video every Friday to our YouTube channel. That's one. Number two is I have a spotlight on Instagram under the Nurse Retreat page. So please check that spotlight out. I'm spotlighted on there today, and they asked me a few questions regarding healthcare, and I answered them. So check it out, Nurse Retreat on Instagram, and I hope you enjoy. We're going to talk about my time in nursing school, and
I'm gonna be asking the questions.
yes,
I'm running the show today.
Yeah.
Okay, you taking the back seat. I'm running the show. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. She don't know what I'm gonna ask, so she might stutter a little bit.
Oh, calm down.
All right. First question. What made you want to get into healthcare?
Oh, boom, easy.
What's that?
Well, easy and hard at the same time. My grandma was sick with cancer. I remember one day when I was taking her back and forth to her chemo treatments, she said to me, Nicole, I think I want to stop chemo. And you know, I had to be strong for her, but it was heartbreaking. And then that's when my mom got her all set up to move into the house with us so that we can take care of her. But throughout that whole experience, I just felt like I wanted to do more and I needed to do more. It was 2 months later, I enrolled in a medical assistant program.
So after that, you became a tech and became a nurse.
Yeah, I became a tech. And then, let's fast forward a few years. I decided to become a nurse. Now, going into the nursing field, I was like, okay, I'm for sure want to stick with dialysis. But during my stint in nursing school, I was on the ICU floor. I loved ICU. My favorite was the ER, and I liked the fast pace, the energy, the adrenaline rush, and I was good at it. During my time in nursing school, we had some crazy, not crazy, but intense situations. That's what I want to say. So I remember this one time I was in labor and delivery, maternity. So we were doing that. That was our mod. That was like mod 5, I believe. And my preceptor, you have a different preceptor each mod. So I had a different preceptor that mod. And she called me up one night. It was probably like 8 o'clock at night. She said, Nicole, I need you to call your classmates who are in that group with you, and you need to tell them to be prepared for tomorrow mentally. And I want everyone there on time. I called the people in my group and I let them know that, hey, we need to be mentally prepared, yada, yada, yada. I don't know what's going on, but it's something serious. We get to the hospital that day. We're at Florida Hospital. We get to the hospital that day, the next day, and she sits us down, she briefs us on the case, and it's a child. I'm not gonna say how old she was, but it was heartbreaking. And what made it even worse was her mom wanted to know who helped her get into that situation, and she refused to say anything about it. So we helped her deliver her baby. It was by C-section. You know, you have to do this thing called the APGAR afterwards. So I did the APGAR on the baby, and I was just like, it's not adding up right. And I had to show, the preceptor my findings, and I'm not gonna say the findings, but it was, it was the first case I've ever seen with something like that, and the baby was later diagnosed with something. Another story was we were given an option to help with a birth, a stillbirth, but I chose not to because I'm a real softie, and I know if I was in that situation, I would not want to see my nurse crying. I wouldn't want to see her eyes watery, and I would need her to be strong so that I can be strong in that situation. So I opted out of it, but I did help with the arrangements. Those were my two like memories that are embedded in my brain from nursing school.
Did you ever want to give up?
Oh, once a week. Once a week, I wanted to give up. When I tell you that I was sleep deprived, I had anxiety, I had developed GERD, and so I was on medication for that. It was the most stressful time of my life. So during my practicum, you had to work. No, you had to do 40 hours at the hospital, right? Week 1, you got 1 patient. Week 2, you got 2 patients, and then so forth. We had to do 8 weeks there. You had to do the minimum of 40 hours. And they made it a point to say, we don't want to know if you go past 40. We just want to know that you reach 40. So a lot of the times you were doing 40 to 50, 55 hours at the hospital. And then every night you had homework. Every week you had a test that you had to pass. It was 1 week we had 2 tests. The very first day of practicum, you get a dosage calculation test. On every freaking math problem you could think of was on that test. It was like, it was 20 questions, but they figured out how to congest all of that in there. And a lot of it was not multiple choice. Like you had to write the answer in, I believe. A lot of, or maybe it was multiple choice, but I can't remember. I felt like all of them weren't multiple choice. I failed it the first time. The reason why I failed it is because you got to get 100 in order to go to practicum, and then they give you one more shot to pass it. So the first time, I literally sat on the last question for like 10 minutes, 8 minutes, like flew through the test, and then because you get, I think, 2 minutes per question. I had sat there and I'm just like, Nicole, don't do this to yourself. Don't do this. Just threw any answer down in there. Second time, so the next week I came back and took my time, went through taking my test and passed it. Very first day of class, we had an exam, and that exam knocked us down by 5 points. So during this practicum, guys, if you feel like you're like in overload right now, listen to this. During the practicum, we had to come to class, I think it was twice or 3 times a week. It may be twice or 3, I can't remember. But you had homework every night, and you had it from like 3 different sites that you had to get a particular grade on. Now, you can choose to not get 100 on your homework assignments, but that took away from your grade, and you never knew when you was gonna like fail a test. Each test was worth 5 points, and you didn't know what grade you needed to get until the day of the class. So if you went into class that day, you ready to take a test, you didn't know what topic you was gonna be taking a test on, so you had to know your pharmacology, you had to know your psychology, you had to like be on point with everything, because they did not tell you what test you were going to be taking for that day so that you can prepare. You just had to know everything. I was sitting there taking my final exam, right? Down to the very last second. Right before that last second, I switched my last answer. And
why? Or you wasn't confident, or you just found
I
the
just
answer?
was. I was just like, I wish I knew what that question was, but I was like, something ain't right. Like I feel like I'm not, paying attention to this question. Guys, you ain't got to get all A's and B's in nursing school. You just got to pass. And when I say, and I'm not ashamed of it, when I say that I passed that final exam with, uh, I first of all, I didn't know what the grade was going to be because she wrote it on the board and I didn't look up. So the passing grade was 60. She knew that I was, I had so much anxiety. I was going through a lot in my personal life. I was tired. I was hungry. Um,
What you eat?
I couldn't work. I couldn't work, so I'm gonna keep it at that. So I just put my head down, and she said, "Oh my goodness, Nicole." And I said, "What? What?" She said, "You just passed it. You passed it by the lowest grade possible. You can take your NCLEX." And she cried.
What you got? A 61?
I got a 60.
Dang!
let me tell you something.
If you would have fought, you would have failed.
But let me tell you something. No, it was people. That last test, like it literally could take you out. So you could have gotten A's and B's the whole practicum. But if you didn't pass that test, that very last test, that state test, it literally would take back everything you worked on. So you could have like a 90 something in the class. You done failed the practicum and you gotta retake not the part where you have to go to clinic 40 hours a week, just all the tests, all the homework, all the papers. You have to redo that. So I was very blessed. I was very thankful. There was people in there that had 90 something and yada yada yada, and they were literally outside the door just crying, and I felt for them.
Last question, two-part question. What you did not to give up, and what kept you motivated?
Okay, so what I did not to give up was I kept praying and I kept talking to God. I had a couple of family members that helped me out. I said, because there was a point where I had nowhere to stay. So I had to ask one of my family members for help, and only just so I can pass the last 2 months of nursing school. And other than that, I would be moving out. People don't know that, like, those were some trying times. As soon as I got out of nursing school, what I did was I worked. Man, just knowing that, I know that God's not going to put more on me than what I can handle. That there was a light at the end of the tunnel, and one day I would see it. My mother, my father, definitely. They were my cheerleaders. Because school had gotten so bad. When I tell you that my mom and my dad sprung into action, I also had an uncle who sprung into action as well with helping keep a roof over my head for those last 2 months in nursing school. Man, I'm extremely grateful, and only by the grace of God did that everything came together for me, even though my situation was it was to the point where I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna quit nursing school so I can work and keep a roof over my head. But my mom said, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're gonna get through it. We're gonna help you get through it. You're gonna get through it. Also, like, my manager at that time, let me tell you guys something. There was like this bonus that they had out, but there was some specifics about it. Dun, 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 dun. One day I looked at my account and I was like,
You got the bonus.
is this? I called her up. She said, I said, is this a mistake?
This is when you was working as a dialysis technician, right?
As a tech.
Okay.
And she said, just say thank you. And when I tell you guys, I cried.
Aww.
Because I had no money. And I didn't want to express that to my mom and dad. And yep, everything's okay because they were doing so much for me already. So, you know, I had a lot of blessings along the way when it came to me being in nursing school. It was the toughest time, but it's worth it. So if you're out there and you're just having the hardest time in nursing school, just keep pushing through, you know, because God won't give you more than what you can handle. And that's my story.
Oh, no, like trying to look hard.
Oh, shut up. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. If you don't want to drop it in the comments below, check us out on Instagram at Nurse NEKE'S Coconut Cakes, and you can DM us there. All right. Once again, we drop videos every Friday that are going to be healthcare related.
Oh, it's on fire. All the flavor minus the frosting.